Hey there, how's it going? Early in the morning, lighting's not the best in here, so I look a little pale. That's okay. Uh, it is sound advice not to talk about medical issues if you have any, especially on social media, because social media is filled with people who, if no other word can describe them, are cunts. Uh, and that could be anybody. It's a word that you don't want to be called. That's what I associate it with. Other people have different meanings for that word for when they use it. When I say the word cunt, it doesn't mean that. It's usually someone who's, an asshole trying to get you in trouble, all this kind of stuff. Or just, it means a wide range of things, really, depending on the situation. Anyway, aside from that, I wanted to talk about. Um, I got a phone call from UBC saying that they wanted to do an MRI on my head, and I had just made the video, the rebuttal to Seeker and their treatments for pain. And as it were, the last week or two, I have been feeling significantly in more pain, particularly around my neck, as I've been complaining about for years. And, the medical community is simply not interested in addressing that issue that I have. They don't want to do anything about it. And, as I said, I'm a voluntary patient. Therefore, if I don't want to do something, I don't have to. And this MRI, it was scheduled for January of next year, and UBC is reputed for being very good and, very thorough and all that sort of stuff. But what a lot of people don't know about them is they are also cunts. I told the woman who phoned me, she was a receptionist of some sort. She probably didn't know very much, and she was just phoning me with, kind of an arrogant kind of talk, kind of arrogant, bubbly kind of talk. And um, yeah, they scheduled me for January or sometime next year. And I said politely, I said, I'm saying this as politely as I can, fuck off. And the reason I said that is because I know what would happen. I'd go over there, do the brain x-ray, send me on my way, and tell me nothing. They'd tell me nothing. My life would improve in no way whatsoever, except some assholes in UBC would have a brain schematic of my brain. They'd have pictures of it, which they wouldn't give to me. They give it to other people, but they wouldn't give them to me because I was a mental health patient and I'm not entitled to know. Um, so I gladly told her to fuck off. I'm not going there. That's not happening. I'm not helping out assholes that don't have my best intentions in mind and are pissed off with me already because I stopped taking their medication, which they had scheduled me to take for, many, 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 many more years. And it's like, to help you out, good sir? No. Uh, yeah, not the answer they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that their medicine was super amazing and it was doing wonders and this, that, and the other. No, you're just an asshole. That's what you're gonna hear. You're a cunt. Um, and they wanted to have a look at my brain and see how I don't know the terminology, but I guess certain receptors or how my brain's configured or where the neurons, electrons, all that kind of stupid, boring shit that's not very interesting to a guy like me. They wanted to see the placement of it, I guess. And then, that would help with their medical research. But this is, again, the people who, if I were lucky, they'd be stale donuts in the waiting room. And it's like, after all the years I've had a sore throat, the fact that you're not going to do anything with this information that's going to be beneficial to me directly, whether it helps people down the line, that's, not my business, and therefore I'm not contributing to it and I don't. It's not my problem. Um, yeah. So again, I deliberately said no because I saw it to be not advantageous for me in the slightest. Um, and I know they raged over that. I know they got angry about it. It doesn't matter. Uh, they have to, you know, figure out a treatment plan that is going to cause the sore throat that they deliberately gave me to go away. They have to be interested in making the sore throat go away. Until that happens, I am not going to be cooperative with the medical community because they are cunts, and that's the bottom line. Um, I know what they would have said, and this is part of the reason why I made this video is they always turn around and take their interpretation of something and say how they want to say it. So they'll turn around and go, well, he made a video a few days ago, rebuttal a seeker, and he said that when it was explained to him that mice sometimes have electronic equipment hooked up to their brains so that they can um, monitor them. And this individual had said that they do that to people, and we believe he's paranoid that if he goes to UBC to have his brain looked at, that that's what they're going to do, and that would be psychosis, mental health issues, blah 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 blah, paranoia, and it's like, no, I didn't think that, but I still think they do that to people, but they don't have any reason to do it to me. I mean, they may want to. I have no idea. Some of them, because they are cunts, as I vividly describe them as being, and that's something I have to take into consideration. But they don't have the pretext. They don't have that much in the way of pretext as far as ever diagnosing me as having a mental health disorder. They don't have a lot to go on. I mean, is I look at my entire lifespan of 32 years and the mental illnesses I've seen everywhere. Everybody has, whether you understand them or not. And that's not simply yourself, that's the world surroundings. And then you look what's going on the television and everything like that, and the internet. And it's like, you have the nerve to keep harassing me? Like, I got people on my social media, they don't say much. It's usually like either once a day or once every couple of days, and at a time it was, nothing significant was said for, like a month or two. And they're calling me those names when they have no proof at all of any of it because it simply doesn't exist. And yeah, they have the audacity to get mad at me when I'm not cooperating with them as far as letting them do whatever they want when there's no benefit for me and they can't actually make me do it. And, if I have to, have this sore throat, which I'm going to have no matter what I do at this point, for how long, I don't know, then I'm at very least going to tell them to fuck off. I'm going to tell UBC to fuck off, and I'm going to tell any other psychiatrist that wants to have an X-ray done in my brain, MRI, to fuck off. What are you going to do for me? I'm not going to do anything for you if you're not going to do anything for me. And that's not the answer they want to hear. They want to hear, oh, but we want to see what this medication has done to your brain. The one we manufactured reasons for doing against you. And then we tried putting you through a bait program, similar to a Momo challenge. It wasn't quite that. I only recently heard that term, but this has been going on for years and years and years where they're trying to goad me into having a belief system that it doesn't have anything to do with me, and I don't agree with it. And that's all the, you know, occasional things they say on social media. And as an involuntary celibate, that's an elaborate thing. It's not simply not being able to, have fun with women. It comes with a lot of other stuff too. Like you don't get to have normal conversations with people. You don't get to have normal social surroundings. There is an element of phonyism and artificialism, and this is all done by mental health. And it is not creative how they do that. Basically, they're a bunch of mudslingers. They'll say anything about anyone, and people are usually dumb enough to believe them because they simply do, because they're an authority figure and they remain mysterious, and it seems like they know what they're doing and they don't. Um, anyone asks me, I'll tell them exactly what I think about psychiatrists and things like that. I do not like them, and I am not assisting them in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to happen. Not after what they've said, not after what they've done. And, I want compensation. And I mean like real compensation. Um, and I don't want any strings attached. It's simply, I've put up with enough of your bullshit over the years, and you didn't have the grounds to be as aggressive in your treatment plan as you were. And now you don't know what to do. And that happens to be your problem. My problem is that I got a sore throat that I'd like to get rid of. I've lost out on money because I haven't been able to work as often as I would have liked to have before. I missed 14 months, remember? And then the 6 months, a year and a half before that. And it's like, you owe me money for what you did. And this is what you call a fuck up. And as I said, stale donuts in the waiting room for an examination, that's supposed to psychologically make me feel better. Oh, they're trying to help me. They're going to find out what's wrong when they do this MRI, and then they're going to help me. No, they're not going to help me. They're going to take that information, do whatever the fuck they want with it, and that'll be it. And you know what? That would be me cooperating with people who have no authority over me in this particular instance. They have authority, but they don't have they can't go after me for any reason. What they want is for me to show significant signs of mental unwellness, and therefore they can simply put me back on extended leave, make me take medication all over again, and then the bullshit merry-go-round continues, and they're not held liable. Well, not only is that not going to happen, because I don't believe, in my opinion, that I have any mental illnesses. Um, I'm seeing enough mental illnesses in society that they should, bugger off and pester somebody else, harass somebody else, because they're not investigating me anymore. They're harassing. That's what it is. It's harassment. Uh, you know, it's like any number of things. As far as social media goes, if I were to start going, oh, I'm depressed, quote unquote, things aren't going my way, blah, 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 I feel, all this and that, not only would they laugh about it, that'd be one thing. Two, they try to make it worse. And that would be so that it got to a point that they could go, right, we can do something. Therefore, we're the good guys, when really they're a lazy trapdoor spider, and they've been waiting around for an excuse to grab me because it's just simply easier for them. And they figure, well, we put them in certain physical conditions, social conditions. This guy's he's gonna have a bad day one day, and then that's gonna be it. He's gonna get depressed, or anything. And obviously, there's some things that about my life that are a little bit of a bummer. They're not ideal. Obviously, having a very painful sore throat is not ideal. Obviously, no chicks around is obviously not a good deal. Um, Obviously, losing a lot of money, like $80,000, not a good deal. Those are things to be pissed off, bummed out about, and all that sort of stuff. It would be a mental disorder to deny all that sort of stuff. But at this point in time, I'm feeling confident because they simply do not have anything against me. And they hate being wrong, and they don't like the idea that, hey man, you got to pay me money for what you did. Um, and yeah, they don't like any of that sort of stuff. And you know, it's all about saying things in such a way that you can actually get a response from them. Because for the longest time, it's been no response, no response, no response, no response, no response, no response, and the same monotoned speech over and over and over again, and it really lacked personality, and it felt very like I was having a conversation with a robot. That's what it felt like, which technically I am because it's a fucking web camera, but not really because although there won't be any comments in my comment section, more than likely there's a bureaucratic shadow that watches me every now and then. It's probably a fairly regular person, but there's no doubt about it. Um, they're legally liable for me, and this is because of workplace documentation, which was also inaccurate about me. So it's a big twisted ball of red bureaucratic tape. That's what it is. And they've created a giant problem out of nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, you know, um, it's embarrassing that I even have to be in this situation in the first place. Uh, like, I don't consider these people my intellectual equivalents. I consider them as lazy information grabbers who perch themselves high up, like I explained before, and wait for other people to do the work for them. And it's like, hold on, fuck off. And they want me to go over there, do the MRI. What am I gonna have to ask 50 fucking times to get any, bit of paper? And I know this because I actually had tests done before, not MRI. Well, I have had an MRI, but that was not at UBC, a research place where they give it to their students. Excuse me, fuck off. But I have had an MRI done. I got hit on the head one time, and they checked it out. Nothing out of the ordinary, and there wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary there anyway. They just want to see how the chemistry works. But I've also had other tests as I've made videos about. A tube in the throat, down into the stomach, tube up the nose, down the throat. Unremarkable was the words that were used. And they used erythema, edema, mild, I believe the word was. I have the documentation somewhere. I don't read it that often. I'd asked twice to get that. First of all, I asked for the pictures, right? And my doctor goes, no, I don't have the pictures. She probably didn't. She just lied. She just didn't want to give them to me. Probably, I'll never know because they'll turn on the OCD lying button and all of a sudden it becomes the truth when it's not. And okay, so you figure, well, if you could get paperwork out of them, then you could, then they would tell you, look, I don't have the pictures. Here's some paperwork. But they didn't do that. I had to get clued in by my dad that, look, you can ask for paperwork. And so I go back there and ask for paperwork. I get the paperwork, and it basically says nothing. Well, this is in regards to my sore throat. And I know UBC would be so much worse. And again, this is giving my information about the status of the chemistry in my brain, if I'm using the terminology correctly, to university professors and students and things like that that are assholes. They think they're better than everyone else, and they're not. I know this. I used to play chess with I do play chess with some people from university, UBC, that thought they knew it all and that they were, way smarter than me because they went to university. I didn't always win, but I didn't pay that much stock into learning how to play chess well. And when I did win, it was epic, absolutely epic. And it was hilarious. And it's the funniest thing when someone, trains, goes to university, does this and that, even writes a book on how to play chess, and you beat them. It doesn't get any better than that. And, for me, chess was a hobby I played in high school, and I played it occasionally in my adult life, and that was it. I didn't read books about it. I didn't pay that much attention to it. And it's like, I beat you, and I wasn't even really trying. Because my friend, he went and wrote a book. I would recommend you buy it. I forget what it's called. He went through a lot of trouble making that book. Because he studied all the chess players and he made notable games and things like that. So basically, he compiled a bunch of information that wasn't his. He put a little commentary in it, and there it was. Hasn't sold any, and probably doesn't deserve to because he didn't invent any new moves. Which is the dilemma that university students have. Their brain is not constructed to invent new ideas. It's constructed to memorize ideas that have already been invented. And there is process that enables, university students, professors, scientists, blah, 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 to learn more. But it's not that they're learning these new things for themselves. It's that there's a system in place that eventually finds it. Kind of like troll fishing, where it's like a big carpet and it just pulls everything in, and then you look and see what you got. It's not thinking in a new way. It's not coming up with a new idea. It's basically it's a trap system. And for pharmaceutical stuff, it's basically they have their X amount of stuff, usually combinations of medications. There's thousands of combinations of medications, and they simply keep trying them and looking and see what happens until they get the desired result. That's not inventing a new idea. That's called being an asshole. And the person who came up with that kind of idea in the first place, guarantee you, didn't fucking go to university. Didn't do it. It wasn't that type of person. And, who knows how long they've been doing that kind of stuff? Probably a very, very long time. I mean, back in the days of the pirates, they'd always have the idiot uh, eat whatever wild berry there was before anyone else in case it was going to give you stomach cramps or something like that. Um, I suppose that's kind of what happened to me. It was I was behind the pack. I should have been, more successful in my younger life, but I'm making up for it now, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, so I'm the one who got stuck with the crappy job, the one that gets treated like shit by modern day society, gets called all kinds of names, abused as fuck, and they still want to insult me because they were inconvenienced by themselves because they had internal fighting amongst themselves. No, 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 no. That's your fucking problem. It's not my problem. And I don't give a damn if me saying I'm not going to go have this MRI so you can go have a look at my brain chemistry, which wouldn't do me any good anyway, because it'll lessen the burden of your superiors having a go at you. Excuse me? Fuck off. Your fucking problem. Your bag. Fuck off. Uh, I have every right to decline this. There isn't anything wrong with my brain. The chemistry obviously is different than it used to be. It would happen to anyone when they take psychiatric medication. Um, I do have disorders with sleeping, that's for sure. I don't sleep when I want to, how I want to, when I want to. These are things that can be controlled under normal circumstances. And I don't mean by medication, I mean simply by cleaning up your act. Uh, and alcohol consumption, sore throat, because a sore throat is probably a small irritant, and there's probably this is my assertion because I ain't no scientist, as I have explained, that there's some sort of part of the brain that's exaggerating how painful the sore throat is. It still hurts a lot every day for 7 years, at varying at certain points, but it hurts a lot every day. And uh, my doctors had this meh, not interested attitude. And that's because they found some poison out there, which they injected me with, which may never go away on its own. That's what I thought at first. At first, I thought, well, it should dissipate on its own. But what if it doesn't? What if it requires something to make it go away and then instantaneously it goes away? They don't want to admit to anything like that because they'll turn around and go, oh, he wants painkiller medication, blah, blah, blah. And, that's not actually true. I don't want that. I want a medication quickly to get rid of the sore throat, and I'm done with your medications afterwards. They want to continue believing this is a psychiatric problem so that I can be a guinea pig and keep going along with it, and I'm not going to do it. Um, they hate the fact that I don't agree with them on alcohol, and I believe I have made a significant impact as far as changing the perception of alcohol, because alcohol in many ways obviously needed to be improved, but the new system that was threatening to take its place has its problems too. It's far from being the good guys. They're a bunch of phonies and a bunch of assholes. And people's perceptions. You got to be cognizant that somebody else may be right because that is their specialized field. And if you listen to what they say, if they have anything to say, if they just treat you like an idiot like they've been doing me, then you should take consideration what they're going to say. But unfortunately, as far as me and my beliefs on alcohol, what these type of people are going to do is they're going to go, oh, look at all the bad things alcohol's done, blah, blah, blah. Who cares if you have a sore throat? You're a supporter of alcohol drinkers. You're empowering them by explaining your situation, and it's not the tune we want to hear. So therefore, it doesn't matter if you have a sore throat because of all the bad things that don't have anything to do with you in regards to alcohol. And it's like, fuck off. You're an asshole, or these people are assholes, running around doing all kinds of bad things to people all the time. And they have the nerve to go after me about the consumption of alcohol because other people have fucked up on alcohol and I've not. No, your philosophy breaks down after that part. Your argument doesn't make any sense. And they know that. They've come to that conclusion. The problem is they've put all their metaphorical eggs into one basket. And if that basket sinks for them, oh well. Uh, um, you know, that was definitely what they, perceived of me, that things weren't going to go my way. And, all I want is to mind my own business and try and, you know, get things going in a more beneficial way. But their idea of a treatment plan and my idea of a treatment plan are two very different things. It always has been, always will be. I don't agree with how they do things, and they're not actually smart enough to convince me otherwise. Without being the bullies that they say that they're not, and that they're trying to stop in this, that, and the other. Like that Momo challenge. That's a government conspiracy. They're the ones who invented it. And the people who specifically get targeted work within the system. I quickly watched some stupid thing um, on YouTube of some woman who was saying, "Oh, they're saying this, that, and the other," and it's like, no, that's probably your asshole buddies in the wherever your bureaucratic position that did that. It wasn't some randoms. and that would mean that it was her fault, in part to blame. They don't like to admit that. They like to play the oh, the like, I don't know enough about the Momo challenge, and I have very little interest in learning about it. It doesn't sound like a fun conversation. It doesn't sound like one that anyone wants to have. However, I know when I commented on one thing, it started showing up more often on my damn social media. And it's like, no, I'm not going to get manipulated by that. And yes, it does sound like a sinister thing because it is. Um, it was supposedly invented by a Japanese company. They said they invented the sculpture, but it goes further than that. They invented more than that. And it might have something to do with the fact that a lot of teenagers commit suicide in Japan. I don't know if you heard about that or not. And, maybe the Japanese Yakuza are a bit pissed off about that and they're going, well, possibly, quote unquote. Because you could assume that because they're assholes. I mean, they make their young people work 13-hour days and things like that simply to survive. You think that they have a high opinion about our lazy stumblebum uh, uh, young people over here? No, if they could cyber hack us and have Momo everywhere, uh, they'd do it. And I guess I'll have to make a video about Momo, but I'll have to look into that Momo challenge. What a waste of time. Ugh. But yeah, whatever shows up on my social media is not going to influence me one way or the other. And yeah, not falling into that damn trap, that's for sure. Uh, anyway, getting bored with this subject and the whole MRI things. I had to talk about a few things to explain other things. I've used that expression before. And yeah, so I'm not doing an MRI on my head. Um, Yeah, because that's helping out people who specialize in being assholes and getting away with being assholes. And, you know, they're not going to do anything for me that's going to help me right here, right now. Uh, I mean, I like to believe that they turn around and say something nice about me, even if they don't tell me. But, to be honest with you, the way I've heard things, I find it hard to believe that they actually do that. And some people actually believe insulting somebody is actually doing something good for them as far as the wide community goes. It hasn't been for me, so I'm not inclined to believe that that's a real thing. And you do have to take into consideration that sometimes, as an involuntary celibate, as someone who is sent to Coventry where no one speaks to him for whatever reasons, even if it's a bureaucratic cover up, um, that there will be people who will say things that really piss you off, and you can't get mad at them. You can almost thank them, almost, not really, but you could almost thank them for going, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Thank you for letting me use that as an example for me to explain something. Like UBC phoning me about an MRI. Because obviously I thought about it a little bit, but it was nice that I was able to get that. So I am gonna tell them to fuck off, but I'm not especially mad at them. Even though they were gonna turn around and do whatever it is they were gonna do with that information, um, because I had the ability to say fuck off, and now they're inconvenienced over it. They wanted a schematic in my brain, and they're not going to get it. I have explained things on social media, dangerous concept, because there's just so many reasons for it, but I don't have any other choice. That's the reason why I'm saying it. which actually might have been part of the whole thing altogether. I mean, I've only been on social media a few years. Create conditions where I don't have any choice but to go on it. If I want any social stimuli at all, I have to go on social media where people talk to me like trash, and they do it every day, very consistently. And you know what? It's things like this that make me say that Canada is not a first world country. It's not an A plus country. It's not even a B country. It's like a C minus. It's like a dog of a country, really. The accomplishments of old are, they're becoming more and more distant, especially under a Trudeau era. I mean, some people like him. I don't, and a lot of other people don't either. Um, so, you know, it's all about wording, how to word something, or or even look a certain way, I suppose, in their twisted logic, um, to get any kind of a response to them. And if you pull the Hank Hill philosophy where you go, I'm this close to kicking your ass, and then the Laotian guy, I forget his name, Khan, goes, oh, but I'm this close to kicking your ass. Or was it Dale Gribble who said it to him? Might have been Dale Gribble. But, essentially the show is mostly about Hank Hill and well, Bobby to an extent. I mean, all the characters get their fair share, really. Um, yeah, that was a decent show. Uh, some parts anyway. Anyway, I will talk to people later, and yeah, not doing the MRI won't benefit me in any way that directly or indirectly, so I'm not doing it. Not helping a university professor who's an asshole. And if that means the doctors that scheduled it for me have to put up with flack from their superiors, uh, don't care. Don't care. That's your problem. You fucked up. It's your problem. Anyway, talk to you people later. Have a good one.